So we've got 6:01. Let's call this meeting to order. Thank y'all for everybody being here. It's good to see everybody. Minus Robin, but it's glad to put a face with everybody and be in a meeting where we're not looking at, as Brad said, on a little piece of 6-inch TV, what you want to call it. But anyway, all right. So I need to have a motion to adopt the agenda as we said before us.
So, second.
Got a second? Marty, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Okay. Then I want to call a motion for approval of the minutes. I hope everybody got to read those. Can I have a motion on that?
Make a motion.
Okay.
Second.
Got a second? All those in favor? Aye. Ayes have it. All right, that was pretty swift there, Mayor.
I'm impressed.
Do you want to go ahead and take this procedure to get Mr. Marty sworn in, please?
Mr. Callahan, if you would please come down. We greatly appreciate your serving for our community again, our great city. And you have a couple of items that have to be taken care of here. So, as I say this, I will say aye, and you state your name in full, and then I'll read the rest of it and ask you for an affirmation. Okay. So, I
Marty Callahan.
do swear or affirm that I will well and truly perform the duties of member of the Downtown Development Authority to the best of my abilities and will take only my lawful compensation. I do further swear or affirm that I am not the holder of any unaccounted for public money due this state or any political subdivision or authority thereof. That I am not the holder of any office of trust under the government of the United States, any other state or any foreign state, which I am prohibited from holding by the laws of the state of Georgia, and that I am otherwise qualified to hold said office according to the Constitution and laws of Georgia, and that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of this state. Do you so solemnly swear? And the state of Georgia requires that every holder of a commission such as ours swear an oath of loyalty to that state. And I'm going to do the same thing. I, and please state your name in full. I,
Marty Callahan.
a citizen of the City of Jasper, Pickens County, Georgia, and being an appointed official of the City of Jasper, Georgia, and the recipient of public funds for services rendered as such employee, do hereby solemnly swear and affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Georgia. Please so affirm. Thank you so much.
Well, welcome back, Marty. Glad to have you back, buddy.
Now that didn't take long, I'm sure you feel better for it.
Okay, before we go any further, I have been talking to the mayor and Brandon about trying to get us together, first of all, where we can see each other, and then talk about some things that we're doing in our community, more or less our city. I was on a meeting some 6 weeks ago, I guess, with the council, the city city manager, the mayor, economic developer, myself, Becky Denny, and Chris Stetson. It was a great achievement, and I hope we have many more of these so we can move forward with our community. After seeing and being on that meeting, I wanted to come before y'all to let y'all know what our mayor and our city manager and our council are doing. So I wanted to get in front of everybody and let them bring out what we're working on so that y'all know what is actually out there that we're doing. So with any further ado, I'll turn it over to the mayor. And Mayor, if you will start us off.
Well, our timing on this is superb because I received a notification from the chamber that they are going to hold the April meeting in person, and would ask that myself and also that Chris Dancel from the county they're going to do their city-county elected, and I'm sure that Green Suttles will be included in that, reports to the Chamber of Commerce. So I started, we haven't done this since COVID came along, so I started thinking about some of the things that we've done, and our city manager has a lot more that he can bring to mind if I fail to include everything. So what I'm just going to do is give you a brief rundown of some of the things that we have right this moment that are either in progress, in planning, or I can't tell you about it, but, okay? To start with, we'll go down to the Worley Preserve down at Worley Crossroads. And that's going to be 124 single-family resident homes that they've already, I see shiny timber down there, so I know that they've already started, and that project is definitely a go and fully funded. Coming up the road on the left from there, we've got Gateway, which is 103 single-family homes. Construction definitely started. They've got some sales in there, quite a few of them, I understand. And along with that, they also have a planned assisted living. And I don't know how many units, I think it's 76, but you can't hold me to that number. But assisted living units that they're going to build on another section of property that they own right there. So it'll be the houses first and then the assisted living. They're already starting that planning also. Piedmont Residential, I think all of you may or may not know about that. I think they were scheduled for like 72 in the beginning, and they have come a long ways. This is up at the hospital, and that's also underway. I will tell you that there is another location, and I guess this is about as good as I'm going to put this on for now, but there's another location that might have 96, and there's another location that has maybe 106 plus 24, and then there's another location that might have 500. So the bottom line is that there is so much coming on. I told my wife that if I just went home and sat down and didn't do another thing, that I could not stop everything that is coming our way. So it's incumbent upon us as a city to look at that and make sure that our processes are in place. And I feel like we, by adopting our zoning organization's codes, that we might have just gotten in under the wire for some of these new things that are now coming on. In Parks and Recreation, we have completed some work that you may or may not be aware of, but we're also doing a lot of planning on others, and I want to give you an update on that because that does touch a subject that I feel very strongly about. At the Jasper City Park, early on, we removed the children's playground down there and replaced that in phase one of that with new equipment. That took some time, but we did. And then we've gone back on phase two and put a younger playground beside the one that we had, so parents could come in there with different age groups of children. Our plan there also is to, at some point, we're going to add some more structures, maybe on the back side of that. We're still looking at that in early planning stages, and maybe even redoing the tennis courts that are in there. The Peace Park is going to be renamed. Now this is down at the old Integral property, down below it, that goes down to the triangle. What we're thinking about doing there, and we've had some conversations, I've seen some on Facebook, that we might want to go back and try to do, since we're calling that our historical park, then what we'd like to do is get someone with a family name that might be of that would be accepted readily by the community and go back in time somewhat. So be thinking about that, because we do not have any. We've had some suggestions, but we don't have any at this point. It's not plain. At the at the north end of it, where we put the 15 parking spaces, we have we brought in an engineering firm to go to drawings, and we're looking at drawings to make that into bathrooms for us. I think that those drawings look potentially as something that we can do, and then we're going to move forward with that as soon as possible. One thing about that park is that we also gave some money to the Historical Society, who is redoing the inside of the old jail and putting up a bunch of signage in there. And that signage historically will trace the path of our county and our city. So Doris Wiggins Park is something that we never really had a purpose for, and we're working on that. Excuse me. What we may do there is we got a couple of contractors that are going to come in and potentially show us what can be done if we put up mountain bike trails there, and also maybe a trail for youngsters to get started on. I think they call that a pump trail. I've never seen one of those, but I've looked online at them. So that's something that we will, we're looking at that now, and once we get another contractor to come in, we're going to evaluate that, and then the council will make a decision as to which way we're going to go there. And of course, my park is Perot Park, and what we can and cannot do there. So I will tell you that we have committed slightly over $500,000 for this year as a basis of taking that from a proof of concept into actual construction drawings. And as that money is collected off of SPLOST, then we'll move that project forward. That does include an amphitheater, and Jack, I think you and I discussed that at an earlier time. But I'm happy to say that I think that this will be something that we will all be proud of as a city once we get this done. Can't wait.
Yes.
But
Time will tell.
so our city charter had not been updated since Lee Newton was early in his career, and as we know, that was quite a long period of time that he had that career. Okay. So we did address that this year, and it is now in the state legislature. Everything has been done with the legalities as far as posting in the city here, and we look forward to getting that done as soon as the state signs off on it. I told you about the building codes and our sign ordinances, and excuse me, we've had some issues about the sign ordinances, but here again, when you look at how much work was done there by several different ones, it was like 6 months worth of work to get all of that, and we went through different times, and we're doing this in COVID, so it was all on Zoom, and yeah, we might have made a mistake or two, but we'll fix it. So if you see something in there that somebody says that, well, this should be different, it'll get fixed, whatever it is. So, needs to be done, we're there now. When I first came in, I was really concerned about the fact that the equipment, or IT equipment throughout the administration was less than new, shall we say. Some of it might even been classified as very old. But so I thought, well, I'd like to get, maybe we could get fiber optics. That would be something that would, we could tell the public about broadband if we say, okay, we put it in our building, and it was really, really great. So we needed to upgrade anyway with our workstations, and doing all of that, then I thought, okay, well, now we can get fiber optic. And it turns out that no, we couldn't, because our equipment still would not support it, so we had to change out more equipment. But eventually we got that done, and I can tell you today, I'm proud to say, that we do have fiber optics in City Hall. And by working with ETC on this, it took a long time, but it's done. And I'm also sure that I don't have to tell you that we partnered with them on this billboard that you see coming into town also. And I gratefully appreciate their working with us on that. I can't tell you how much other stuff that there is out there. It seems like every day we come in and there's more and more to do and less time today to get it done. But we have a great staff and a great group of people that are working towards rebuilding our city the way that we want. Now, that might or might not suit everyone, but our job is not to do that. Our job is to do the very best job that we know how, and that we will do. So, that's all I have at this point in time. I'm going to ask Brandon if he will add anything that I have missed in there, which is probably tremendous.
No, thanks. Mayor pretty much handled everything. Tara, don't put that on me. We'll walk around. So, the mayor did a good job, and he's made a couple of comments. It may or may not resonate you all from a business perspective. As a, I guess you could say, quintessential government bureaucrat now of a decade and a half in the business, I can tell you that I don't use the word slow. I use incrementalism. Mayor Lawrence and some more business savvy folks wanted it yesterday. And I have to remind him that January of 2020, when he, along with some of the other elected, were sworn in, we had about 2 months, and then the pandemic hit. And we're still in the midst of the pandemic as we're sitting here today for one of the very few times that we've been able to get together collectively as a group, and we're socially distanced and we have masks on. So I do not want it to fall on deaf ears that 2 months in, I told the mayor, congratulations, I've never been through a pandemic. And last I checked, he convinced me he had not been either. But in spite of that, we utilized that time to begin working on some internal stuff as well as some external stuff that he's discussed. Put measures in place that otherwise had not really been prioritized. The fact that we're sitting here today providing an update to you all demonstrates that the importance of this mayor and council, as elected by the people, want to continue to see the investment into the downtown and into the community as a whole. So I never want that to go unnoticed, although there are things that don't necessarily happen as quickly as he would like to, and others would like to see, and I respect that. I told him it only took me 6 weeks to get a computer when I started. So in February of 2019, when I began, it only took me until probably my third meeting to get a computer in order to do the work. So nonetheless, my perspective is a little different. Call me an old vet now, but I have to remind people too that, this is starting my third year, 2 complete years, and had a great meeting with Angela with the paper today to kind of back into some of the numbers relative to coming off a reduction in some general fund monies into the pandemic, into today is March of 2021. I'm very pleased and thankful for where we are, but I know the hill we have to continue to climb to get to where we all know we want to get to. That, in and of itself, is sitting here with Breen Suttles from an economic development position that before the pandemic, he and I met probably within the first week, and it was going to be a great opportunity, and then I kind of went silent. Because admittingly, even the best communities that had a lot of things already set in place had struggles relative to the pandemic and how to cope. There was no remote opportunity for teleworking and some other things. So I want y'all to know that even in spite of that, I've been directed by the elected body to continue moving the needle towards investing downtown. The investment in the downtown parking may or may not seem like a big deal, but coming from a Main Street American City, parking is crucial. We have good parking. We want to continue to create parking. We want to create destination places such as parks and green space, encourage businesses to invest in our community, our downtown. The alcohol containment ordinance was approved. That in and of itself, I think, does lead to some creating that vibe and that ambiance in downtown. I go back to even July of 2019 when the elected body decided to include in the SPLOST referendum beginning July 1 of 2020 to include parks, recreation, public safety, water, wastewater, along with streets into the SPLOST, that we can then reinvest that capital into the community. So this fiscal year, January to December, we've allocated $500,000+ towards the Perot Park. I know a lot of folks get a little, well, that's never going to happen. Well, if I go out there with a shovel, and then the mayor go out there with some track hose, we're going to dig some dirt this year. We're going to have some civil plans. There's going to be a lot of laying the foundation to get it prepared for the amphitheater, for the other features that will be a destination attraction. Parking, albeit, is never something that is really all that attractive by way of the cost. Surface street parking is about $5,000 a space. The downtown parking area, we did it for about $4,300. So we have continued to move the needle positively that I hope you all will agree. And I think what Chairman Dunn had kind of wanted to look at today was incorporating you all up on the dais, have a conversation. Dr. Proctor is the development committee member. We can kind of sit, listen, learn, and then what our expectations are is to identify things that may have otherwise not been readily identified by us, help us to then work with you all to prioritize said projects, put a timeline together to how do we achieve and accomplish some of these things. I will tell you, the 12 years that I was in another community went from a Main Street to Georgia Exceptional Main, a gym city, one of, I think, half a dozen or more in the state. I can tell you that the investments of $20+ million over a period of 20 years was something that got it to that point. So by virtue of us incorporating this, last year, this year, the years to come, these small investments over a period of 10 or 20 years will in fact continue to perpetuate that idea that the heartbeat of your community is your downtown. Having a state route coming through your downtown does have advantages as well of getting folks off of 515 through our downtown, giving exposure. So it is something that I want to champion and continue to let y'all know that one of the things that Chairman Dunn and I spoke about, that eventually my goal will be to get a dedicated staff person funded that will essentially be a downtown development director or some sort of economic development type director for the city that's going to work in concert with our president of ED, Mr. Suggs. It is something that I know we can accomplish and achieve because with the proper planning and the incremental approach, it's going to happen. And what we're trying to do now is help to manage that. So if you were to ask me what I would be asking from y'all is just your continued support, encouragement, understanding, guidance, input, best practices. There are things along the way that we try to move forward with to try to get us to where we want to be. Some of these zoning ordinances, sign ordinances, development standards that may not always be well received. I'm looking for continued conversation. I'm not looking to just say, well, I know better than everybody else. I feel like I have to advise the mayor and council on what I envision with the help of community partners. So, I'm going to pass around some visuals that the mayor had spoken about, kind of look at. Unfortunately, there were other things that needed my attention today, as I'm smiling under my mask, if you're not going to see it, that did not afford me the chance to really do a good job presenting this. So I'm just going to pass around, take a look at it. And I think, Mayor, Jack, guess was kind of wanting to kick it off, and don't know if Dr. Proctor has anything that he'd like to add that I may have omitted.
You know better to give me a microphone.
No, I know better than not to give my elected a microphone.
I think, the only thing I want to say is, and it kind of reflects on what Jack said earlier, we're in a position where we have a cross-cut of institutions that we are trying our best to work together. The county, city, chamber, our authorities, both the Development Authority and our Downtown Development Authority. And it's spilling over now into more areas and public perception, which is always going to be, I mean, there's a lot of things that we made decisions on that, based on what we thought our constituents wanted, that people are going to be upset about. But the bottom line is, I think we are truly working hard to work together. And if we do that, I remember a breakfast Mayor and I had before he was even, I'm not even sure he actually committed to deciding he was going to run, but if we work together, what can we not accomplish? And that's what we're trying to do. I'm sorry I'm not there. I'd love to be there. I had both my shots. I've been to a couple of restaurants lately, even I'm starting to come out from under my rock, and we're just, we had some plans down here to get some work done, and that's what we're doing. But thank you all for your service.
Thanks, Tony. Is there any, does anybody have any questions that they want to ask Brandon or the mayor?
Brandon stepped out to take a call, he'll be back in a moment, but
I want to point out a couple things, Mayor, that I don't know if people have even seen this. If you look in front of Dr. Keller's establishment on downtown, there is a big, conglomeration of black wires and stuff, and it's electricity for cars. So we're preparing for the future. And by the way, it's already been used. I've already seen it being used. And of course, there's going to be other ones in town later on. I talked to Lonnie Waters today. Mayor, I'll let you speak here in just a second. I talked to Lonnie Waters today talking about, where are we with DOT? And he said, it's still a go, the one-ways. He said DOT met with them last week, and they are having some problems with the right-of-ways, but by 2024, we will have a one-way coming in and one-way going out. I asked him about electricity, and he said by December, maybe sooner, by December, everything should be taken care of. So I just want to throw those things out here if somebody asks you a question. I have one more thing, Mayor. Let me see what I can remember what it was. Right now it's not coming to me, but you go ahead and add what you need to add.
I wanted to add about Dr. Keller, who had put this charging unit up there in front of his building, and that's rather rare that you have a downtown merchant who says, okay, let me give you a couple of parking spaces right in front of my building, just because I want to do something for the greater good. So then I saw, you have to watch, because there's always people that will have detrimental opinions no matter how much good that you do. That's going to happen, okay? But then I want to make it clear, and I'm on record here, that not only did he give us the parking, not only did he put in the unit at no cost to this city whatsoever, he is also paying for the electricity for every single car that comes up there and uses that, okay? So now how long he'll do that, I don't know. But I will tell you that we need to commend our merchants when they do good things like that. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Does anybody else have anything they would want to add or talk about?
The wiring project, is it to eliminate all above ground wiring between the highway and the city?
I'll speak to that also. And that was my first consideration was I thought, when I heard about this, I said, well, that's not going to be so bad. We're going to get all this tangle of wires down and everything will be fine, and that's not so. What they're doing is strictly for Georgia Power. They are not putting anyone else's lines underground. So although the power will go under, and it will service our needs better, because instead of losing 3,000 of our citizens at one time, then we will be down because of the way they have that structured to about 300. So it allows them to address more quickly any outages that we might have. And obviously where they are underground, it will probably be some type of a blessing to those of us who are serviced by that. But others, no, they're still there. Not my choice, Bob.
And Mayor, maybe I'm jumping ahead here, you might want to add that, you know, Georgia Power come in here and said they were going to do this. You had nothing to do with this. This was not a city project. Is that correct?
It's more than correct because they told us what they're going to do. And now Pike Electric is like a I don't know if that particular company is fully owned or wholly owned by Georgia Power, but they are a subcontractor for Georgia Power. So what they're doing is as directed by Georgia Power based on the studies that they have for where the lines are going to go. Yeah, but that's not something that we were asked our opinion as to whether they wanted to do that, because my personal opinion would I would have loved to kick that can down the road about a year until COVID was over, because I also had some plans for some sidewalks that we wanted to do, and I wound up having to put those on hold because we needed to make sure that when they hit a water main, and the question was not if they were going to hit a water main, the question was when and how many, you know, then we needed to have the materials in place to take care of that, and we needed to have the crews in place to make sure that our citizens didn't suffer or suffered as little as possible. And so far, we've been very successful with that, and they have hit several water mains.
Does anybody have any questions?
Chairman, I'd just like to add just a note of gratitude to you, to Mayor Lawrence, to Green, to Brandon. There have been, in my opinion, many obstacles that we faced in addition to a pandemic over these past couple of years, and this spirit of collaboration is welcomed and appreciated.
Absolutely. I think we all agree on that. Any other comments?
I know I'm jumping up and down like a jack in the box, but I can't tell you how happy I am to have all of you here, because Jack has come to me several times and said, I want to get 2 or 3 or 4, and I said, Jack, you can't do that. You know, it's like, and of course the same thing happens to me too, because I'll say, why can't we spend this money for so-and-so? Well, Mr. Mayor, it don't come out of the right pot of money, you know. So I've had to learn that there are rules that we as an organization have to go by, just like there are rules that you do too. So I did say that one of the things that we do is, as you saw Dr. Proctor here, we have split our city council up so that every department that we have has a committee that oversees those departments. Or maybe I shouldn't say oversee, they specialize in those departments. So that might be something that you might want to think of as a consideration for, you know, committees for you too, because that way you don't violate the state laws that say that you cannot have a quorum, or if you do, then you have to do the same thing we do for this meeting, which is we are required by law to post those.
And believe you me, me and the mayor and Brandon have talked many times about this, because I'm like every person in this room, we're all business persons, and like Brandon was talking earlier, you see something, you want it done, and you want it done quickly. Well, the mayor's beat me in the head. I got knocks in my head right now from saying that, Jack, you can't do that. It takes a little long. We got to go sign paper. We got to wait on that paper so it dries and goes before the right committee and so on and so forth. But, you know, the steps that we are taking to move forward is astonishing, and I appreciate this group, and I want your influence greatly. We are going to divide up into different committees. We're going to talk about this later, but we're going to divide up into committees, and as he said, we'll have probably a council person with us on each committee. But I want y'all to be thinking about that, and I said this in the beginning, I want to redo a mission statement. Well, we haven't had a time to really think about that, but I want y'all to start thinking about that. So put some words together, and then maybe at the next meeting we can put something together as far as a mission statement. I know me and Tara started looking at that many months ago prior to this mess that we're in. So anyway, Green, would you like to say anything about?
Well, let me make a comment about the charging station. There was obviously a little sense of urgency to get on the map for electric cars, and Dr. Keller took care of that urgency. We are on the map, and if you go look at Plug Share, you will see Jasper appearing for the first time ever. And but I'm kind of as a hobby, I follow these animals. I pay attention to electric cars, and I can tell you that at some point we will have to have a DC fast charging station in the downtown area. Now, they are wildly expensive today. Dr. Keller spent about 10 grand. These animals are multiples of that figure, and they're crazy. But I have a sneaking suspicion there's going to be some very lucrative and very aggressive incentives from the federal government at some point in the future to make these things more affordable. And when that happens, I think we need to be prepared to jump on that opportunity when it comes. Until then, we're in no hurry. And so my point is, we're good, but if somebody's going to give us one, we need to seriously consider that, particularly since we're talking about things that are crazily expensive. So anyway, that's the only comment I wanted to make about that.
I will tell you this, and I've told you all many times, many of you in individual meetings with some of you, I have been going around and eating in different establishments up and down the road, and had some good acquaintances. I haven't had a chance to go back and meet with those acquaintances, but we have some people very interested in moving in our area. So I can tell you with great passion that if you're out in some area and you mention Jasper, they know where you are now. It's not, I'm not going to say what I started to say, but it's moving forward. And, you know, take that opportunity to establish some guidelines or some words of encouragement to these people and see if you can bring them in here and let them look around. We're going to have some great opportunities, and we have a group in town now that has put some money in here, and they are very happy with what's going on. Example, power lines are not in town anymore. They're underground. Our sidewalks are sidewalks. They are pavers. They're not pavers, they're brick. That was pointed out to me, I never heard of it, but he was very excited about his purchase of the property and what he saw. And he said, y'all are taking things and y'all are not looking over them, but y'all making guidelines to move forward. So, you know, be aware of what your surroundings are and take it and see if you can get some more people to move in this area with businesses or whatever. With that, I'll close, and if anybody else got any other questions.
Oh, yeah. We're never done until we're done, right?
Okay.
Okay, so I would be remiss if I did not tell you that that coming into this, I felt like that there was an opportunity for all of us to work together, not just as a city, but with our economic developer and with our Chamber of Commerce, and specifically as it relates now to the new commission chair that we have, then I have had nothing but cooperation out of him in everything that we have asked. I look forward to a long and fruitful relationship there that will benefit not just the city of Jasper, but also the residents of this great county. So I think that if we continue to do the things that we can build the relationships that we need, then, as I said it one time before, and I've been accused of being a dreamer, you know, it's only up to us what we want to dream. Thank you.
And I'll just take that another step. I've met with Mr. Green numerous times. I don't know how many times we've met, and some of my colleagues have as well. But Green's going to be a very beneficial person for us and to move us forward in this community. I look forward to what he has to say and some of the opportunities that he's going to bring before us to move us forward. And he's got some ideas, some teachings, because Lord knows I don't know all this, and we're all learning together. And that's the most important part. Again, anybody else got anything they'd like to say?
Do you have our next meeting plans?
I do not, but I will have it quickly, because I want to get things moving. And everybody's got my emails, if you got suggestions on what we need to talk about, and Mr. Green's got a couple ideas himself, so we're going to talk about that. But right now, unless anybody else got anything to say, then I guess we can close. Well, again, I want Mayor, you start to say something?
No.
Okay.
You need a motion.
Yeah, I'm going to. Again, I can't tell you how much I'm proud of each and every one of y'all for being on this board. It just makes my job so much easier for what we're doing. I need a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Make a motion. So moved.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.